The major push is going to be on US 75 from LBJ north to 121. This is the largest congested portion of our region that does not have a solution in our transportation plan. We're going to put some considerable effort on it on our staff. TxDOT's going to put considerable effort. We're bringing the cities back in 2 weeks, and we're going to announce a banking program where the RTC will start banking transportation revenues forward transportation authority. We are working with the private sector, looking at innovative ways to build a hot belt passenger rail corridor from Plano all the way to that area, southwest of TCU. And we are working on purchasing vehicles to potentially locate a manufacturing facility that builds passenger rail vehicles in our region here in Dallas-Fort Worth. The details of that are on the next 2 slides, where the RTC is funding $25 million for vehicles, $25 million for positive train control, and $7.5 million in partnership with the cities and the mid-cities in advancing improvements to the Trinity Railway Express. Again, a good example of strategic initiatives is the proposed to do so. With regard to the roadway from Greenville back, and I can respond to your question quickly now, that project cannot proceed if it doesn't go into the transportation plan. We have a private sector company who's interested in doing something. Our staff When we opened up the World Series traffic, we let everyone travel, regardless of occupancy, to unload the World Series as fast as possible. We manage the traffic by deciding everyone can get on those lanes regardless of occupancy. So the reason why they're not called HOV lanes is their sole purpose is not because of an occupancy benefit. Their purpose is to be able to manage whatever brings us a particular problem on that particular day.
So managed in no way means toll. People driving in managed lanes are not going to be tolled.
The blue and orange maps that
Right.
you're talking about on US 75 in particular,
Yes.
there is no introduction of tolls in the management of traffic on US 75.
What about 635? What about
35.
What about the permanent managed lanes?
The permanent managed lanes, like all of our permanents, once there's a decision, like on LBJ,
Yeah.
on 35E, okay, what are we going to do to solve that particular corridor? Well, what can we do? We've had in LBJ 200 meetings with the citizens. Their decision was not to go up, and not to go higher, and not to go wider. So we presented hundreds of options to them in that process. They asked us to look at toll lanes in that corridor, so the frontage roads remain free, the additional freeway lanes remain free, they're all reconstructed. There's no toll on any of those lanes. If they want to travel in the express lanes in the US 75 corridor, in that particular corridor, those lanes will be tolled in the LBJ corridor. So if you look at this Collin County,
Wait 1 second. You mean to tell me all the managed lanes, the tolling has been, that's from the citizenry?
Yeah.
That's been pushed and driven by the citizens?
in the LBJ corridor. In this particular case, in Collin County, those meetings are just beginning. We do not have a permanent solution on US 75. It is the most congested corridor in the region that does not have a solution. So we are beginning through Bill Hill and TechStop to bring in our staff, engineers, computer simulations, forecasting demographics, public outreach efforts. What do the citizens of the US 75 corridor wish to do? So this is the beginning of those meetings to find out, would you like to keep it the way it is in US 75, or do you wish to do something else?
There needs to be a lot of meetings, but they need to be publicized, because I pretend people don't know.
So-
And so I'm really stunned. You mean to say that the blue lane going to Collin County, the HOV lane, is not going to now or ever be a managed toll
No.
lane?
The current US 75 lanes will not be tolled in their occupancy.
I know the current one, I'm talking about the HOV managed.
That process is beginning. We're announcing it here today.
Well, you announced it December 10th in Allen, I thought. And that's why I'm here. That's why I'm
Was
here.
I there in December 10th?
No, no, you were not. You were
Was it
not.
our office? I don't.
It was RTC of COG. It was Regional Transportation
But
Council.
we weren't in Allen in December 10th.
Sir?
It was the
In
managed
Arlington.
lane. It was the managed lane presentation.
Oh, at our regular meeting in Arlington.
No, it
No,
was Allen.
our public meeting right before the regional transportation
Okay.
action on managed express.
Okay, I was. Okay,
No, you weren't.
okay,
You
so,
were very- I appreciate the help tonight.
okay. If nothing changes, the HOV lanes on US 75 stay the same. We have not been able to find a solution on US 75 for 20 years. There are a lot of people that are going to try to work to see if a solution can be found on US 75. Can you get the slide back up? So we're telling you, you need to know your address and all of your friends and all your enemies and whoever's interested. We got to get them engaged in the process so we can walk them through dozens of options on how are we going to fix the traffic on US 75 from LBJ to 121. What comes out of that process, I don't know. There has not been any consensus so far, so we're putting a concerted effort, public outreach, detailed option, citizens to build passenger rail in all the corridors that we build passenger rail.
Through a vote, or what? I mean, I don't understand where this is coming from.
Okay. Let's have our last presentation.
Okay.
You seem to be very upset with us. I want to get some.
No, I'm not. Believe me, my time's valuable. I know y'all's are.
Well,
I came over here for some clarification. I appreciate it.
Well, hopefully we're helping you.
I'm not
Let's
mad.
hear our last presentation, and then we'll turn it over for comment.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay. My name is Jamie Patel, and I'm a transportation planner with the Council of Governments. Tonight, I'm going to bring to you some draft recommendations for our 2012 whole projects for New Freedom and Job Access Reverse Commute programs. I'm going to give an overview of the programs, our evaluation process, and then the projects that we're recommending funding. So the Job Access Reverse Commute Program, which is also known as the JOC program, and the New Freedom program were both authorized through Safety Law in 2005. This transportation bill basically allowed Federal Transit Administration to set aside money for transit-dependent individuals. By transit-dependent individuals, we mean individuals with lower incomes, persons with disabilities, and older adults. The JOB program has two components. The job access portion of the program is meant to transport low-income individuals to employment opportunities. The reverse commute component of the program is meant to transport workers to suburban employment opportunities. For the reverse commute component, there's no income requirement. The New Freedom program is funding specifically for individuals with disabilities. It supports projects that provide new public transportation services and alternatives that go beyond those required by the Americans with Disabilities Act. We will be presenting these recommendations one more time tomorrow in Dallas, and then we will go to our committees for action. If you have questions, my contact information is up on the screen. Thank you.
Jamie, thank you very much. And thank you, Chad. Thank you. We now turn it over to any comments. And Lieber, you're welcome to come forward. Or we're doing it there wherever you feel more comfortable.
I appreciate it.
And you have some written comments that we can answer as you go.
Yes, I do. And my name is Ann Lieber, and I really appreciate you listening to me tonight, taking my comments and my questions. My first comment was that I think that I appreciate this meeting, but I think there needs to be more meetings. And I think that they need to be publicized better, because I don't feel that citizens and taxpayers really know what is going on concerning transportation. I don't know if it's the fault of COG or Regional Transportation Council or elected officials or what, but somehow this word is not getting out. And I made my point about the managed lanes. I think that verbiage, the name, the language is fuzzy. I don't think it is really descriptive of what a managed lane is. And I'm still confused, because after attending the Allen meeting, doing a lot of study on my own and outside resources, I'm led to believe that a managed lane there is going to be tolling involved. So if I'm wrong, but please, I'm going to have some documentation to look at to understand that. But that's usually what a managed lane means. It is going to be a toll lane, and the toll will be variable depending on time of day, traffic, congestion. It'll go up and down. That's my second point. My third is, are these initiatives and decisions taking place regarding transportation in North Texas truly reflective of representative government and how that should work? Because it doesn't feel like it. It doesn't seem like it to me. Okay? Who represents me as far as transportation? I recognize different names that I see on the Regional Transportation Council. However, these people do not represent me in my town. It seems like the stacking of councils and boards that are a part of COG do one thing, and that's separate me, the voter, from the decision makers. And that's troubling. It's not right. So my final question is, what authority does COG operate under? Is it state law? Is your scope unlimited? Is it federal mandates and money that keeps COG going because you draw down federal grant money? And I know that's a very important part of what you do. Please explain in layman's terms, because I don't understand. These are huge projects that involving billions of dollars, and the taxpayers need to understand, and I don't think we do. So thank you.
Ms. Lieber, thank you very much. We hold public meetings, and these aren't public hearings, so we respond to your questions. So let me do it today, but more importantly, John A., let's go back and take these 4 excellent questions, and let's respond in writing and send the details back, and let's share them with other people you may know, and let's get them engaged in the process. I think before you sat down in the beginning, please look at this survey that we put in everyone's packet. We are constantly reassessing how we communicate with the public, and please take several copies of them and maybe hand them out to your friends. Please give these back to us with regard to your input that can help us get to more people. If anyone has ever come to a public meeting, we keep their name and address. I think we're up to 6,000 or 7,000. John A., how many?
Yeah, we have about 6,000 on our postal list and 3,000 on our email list.
Okay. Is that additive or?
Yeah.
6 plus 3.
Yes, 9,000.
Okay. So 9,000 people have visited us. We hold 40 to 50 public meetings a year. Every time we go out to a public meeting, we inform 9,000 people on where the meeting is and what the agenda is, encouraging them to participate. So I picked Lewisville because we have a lot of projects here. I thought we'd have 100 or 200 people here tonight. I can't answer it. I don't know. I'd like to know. We're surveying people. We find more and more now that we're putting our 3rd public meeting on the internet. We're finding more and more that people aren't attending the public meeting. They're looking at our 3rd public meeting on the internet, which of course I don't like because we don't get to engage and help people better understand, and that they don't ask good questions, and we don't have the sensitivities that we should have. The terminology we use, I couldn't agree with you more. When we get to these permanent facilities, which is when we take $1 billion and reconstruct them, we've now added the term toll managed lanes, so people know when we're introducing a toll, the word toll appears there, so there is no misunderstanding. So we're trying to use, where we introduce a toll on a facility, that we always use the word toll there so you know it's a toll lane as part of that managed facility. These interim HOV lanes that have been grandfathered over the years, the Regional Transportation Council wanted to make sure we're not changing any of those policies or harming anyone that's been a carpooler for a long time. So that blue and orange map that was created in the fall was an attempt, and maybe it didn't work in this case, to separate the 2 types of projects. We have interim projects that have been around for a while, 635 east of US 75, US 75, the Concord because the occupancy level that someday in the future on LBJ is going to be moved to 3, and the confusion is going to exist that the current ones are 2. So the policy discussion at the RTC through the summer and the fall was, is it better to leave the existing facilities the way there are?
But they're not going to be left the way they are, because at that other meeting, there was a charge involved for not meeting that occupancy requirement. Really.
As a result of comments we received from the public and policy officials, and I don't know if that was before or after that meeting, so I'd have to go back on the sequence. We'll send you the final recommendation. The final recommendation was to start the permanents at 2, not 3, and to leave the interims at 2 and not move them to 3. So the occupancy between all the corridors stays at 2 occupants. It's very complicated.
With no tolling.
There'll be tolling on the permanents,
Right, but
not on the interims.
Well, that was not
And
what was tried
Well,
out.
that could very be true, because we took 3 or 4 options. I remember we had a table with 3 or 4 options. We went to 2 or 3 rounds of public meetings. We listened carefully to what the public was saying, and that's the recommendation that the Regional Transportation Council had. So give us a chance to send you what that final one is. Hopefully you're happy that there's no tolling on US 75 at this particular point in time. With regard to the Regional Transportation Council, the Regional Transportation Council is a unicameral body. It doesn't have a House and a Senate. The decisions are final at the Regional Transportation Council. The city representatives have to have an aggregation of about 250,000 persons. So there's 1 person, 1 vote on the Regional Transportation Council at the city level. So the city of Dallas has 6 members. The city of Fort Worth has 3 members. The city of Arlington has 2. If you're smaller than 250,000, there's aggregations of cities that get to 250,000. But let me finish answering your questions, and then you can see if anyone else has questions, and then you can ask more questions. The county representatives on the Regional Transportation is like the Senate. They have a certain number of individuals. The RTC insists that all of our transportation partners are on the Regional Transportation Council. So DART and DFW International Airport and the Tollway Authority. So we don't do anything that harms any of our transportation partners.
So they would be unelected, and they have seats.
They're usually under state law, they're unelected,
Right.
but they are members of the Regional Transportation
And they have
Council.
a vote.
And can vote
Right.
on the Regional Transportation Council. You have 4 folks that represent you. You have your city that you live in. We have never built a transportation project in my 32 years in the region where the city was opposed to the project. So we announced today that South Lake wishes not to have a rail station. So we haven't even gone to the Regional Transportation Council, because our policy is if a city wishes us not to do it, we're not going to do it. So South Lake will not have a passenger rail station, because the city council passed a resolution to not have one. So that's your first. Your second is your RTC representative. Now, if you're in a big city, because it's 1 person, 1 vote, you may have 6 representatives, but there's a good chance your council member is not your representative, because there's, I think, 14 on the Dallas City Council, and they don't have 14 representatives, obviously. And in Lewisville, we can go check, but in Lewisville, it looks like you remember Lewisville, the representative of that seat is a councilman that sits here on Lewisville. So you have a RTC member from Lewisville who also sits on the Regional Transportation Council. You have Denton County Representative and Commissioner Ease, who's a Denton County representative, so he's a 3rd representative. And the public at large through our public outreach, because the RTC doesn't make any decisions until we first go to the public and present the views. That's why you heard us spend so much time with the public during the summer and fall on the HOV policy, where we kept hearing from the public and going back out, is this what you said with regard to it? And the RTC responded and took the public's position with regard to those particular policies. So I didn't do it.
Is that when a postcard was sent out and said call and you can do a survey on either online or by telephone?
No, I think, John A., you're probably also sending postcards out to do surveys, probably similar to this, says we want the Regional Transportation Council to manage the surface transportation program. Congress doesn't send us the money directly. They send the money to the state. The state holds on to the money and says, Regional Transportation Council, what do you wish to do with that money? The congestion mitigation air quality program is similar. So most of our federal revenues comes through those federal authorities where the revenues are being retained by the state. Now, in our state, the state has also delegated a lot of the state selection. Their position is, how do we pick projects all the way from Austin? We don't have public outreach like you do. We don't have. So the state has delegated those responsibilities for other pots of money to the Regional Transportation Council. So those would be state revenues that typically the commission would do. So this whole presentation I gave tonight, the commission would ordinarily pick those projects and not even have to talk to us. But what they've done is, hey, we like the imagination you have. We like the fact that you have multimodal projects. We like the fact that you have a grassroots effort. We want to do some innovative things. Help us pick those particular projects. So it's a very strategic, in this case, a very strategic case. None of the monies I presented were formula allocated to this region. They were retained by the commission, which they're flexing it to us to help decide where is the best leverage opportunities. So we took an airport freeway, or State Highway 360, or 35